support this, I have a theory it may have been someone else, even if only RoboFizz. So today we're going to update our Blitz life and history timeline with what we got from the new episode and narrow down the possibilities on how Blitz got his white scar. Now, for those who don't know, the white spots on imps do seem to be naturally occurring in some cases, perhaps like birthmarks and freckles, but also appear as a scar when major damage is done to an imp. Blitz has a big white scar on his face now, but not as a child when we first met him. Now, my previous theory was that Blitz first worked with his sister, then with Fizzaroli, then went on to Lululand. But with the new information we have with Blitz's Fizzaroli's childhood, I think the timeline might be quite different, leading to a different culprit for who scarred Blitz. As kids, Blitz and Fizzaroli worked in a circus run by Blitz's father, Buxo. While we don't see Blitz's sister or his mother in these flashbacks, we know that they had the same branding on their head that all of the imps at the circus have, indicating they probably did work there and have their own acts or helped out in some other way. As a kid, Blitz and Fizz seemed to be great friends, even with Fizz constantly one-upping Blitz in front of audiences. Blitz seemed to get his revenge in his personal play, where he'd lean into gory jokes that grossed Fizz out. As teenagers, this friendship would continue, with the two coming to have a celebrity worship of the Prince of the Greed Ring, Mammon, wearing his merchant.
Star Wars is back. Andor is winning over critics everywhere.
Filipino rules going forward.
It's exciting new territory, thrilling, and the best Star Wars series yet.
Merch in some photos, and dressing even more clown-like than usual. I theorized that Blitz did his act with his sister first, then went on to do an act with Fizz, ending with an accident that would give Blitz his scar and Fizzaroli his robotic limbs. However, I've been starting to think the opposite may be true after these recent episodes. While Blitz had his own lifelong relationship with his twin sister, Barbie Wire, his younger years seem to have been more focused on his friendship with Fizzaroli, and I suspect Fizz had an adult act with Fizz before he did with his sister, just like he had an act with Fizz's kids. As adults, they probably left the circus and, wanting to chase their dreams of fame and perhaps working for a prince like Mammon, would create an act just for the two of them, not involving the circus. In the 2022 trailer for Hell of a Boss, we can even see what looks like a flashback of the two performing together as adults. There is a bit of foreshadowing that something went tragically wrong for Fizzaroli at this time, hinted at in Blitz's childhood game of a horse losing its legs in a war in a bloody, gruesome fashion. Fizzaroli uses a lot of fire in acts, and Blitz seems to maintain his clumsy nature into adulthood, so it's easy to imagine Blitz messing up an act and injuring Fizzaroli. But even if Blitz wasn't at fault, it seemed to lead to their falling out and Fizzaroli hating Blitz either way. This is where I had originally theorized that Blitz got his scar as well, but I think instead he may have walked away mostly unharmed, and instead went on to start his circus act with his sister, where we know he still hasn't had his scar yet. Whether or not there was an accident that injured Fizzaroli, he and Blitz would have a falling out, and it would end with Blitz now working for and dating Osmodeus, as well as starting to produce a line of Fizzaroli-based love robots. Blitz's sister is implied by Baraska to have gone on to find some fame before losing popularity, seemingly without Blitz. We have no idea what the falling out between him and his sister was at this point, but their falling out seemed to end with her finding some fame while leaving Blitz behind again. From here, Blitz would have his last attempt at fame in a solo act for Lululand, a far cry from whatever dream he had for fame before with his sister and his best friend. Instead of working with his best friend Fizzaroli, he'd now be working with a knockoff robot version of him who the kids loved more than Blitz. The interesting thing about this flashback of Blitz working at Lululand is we never see his scar. If he had received a scar from an accident with Fizz, he would have it here, but it appears to be entirely missing. While it may look like the face paint, lighting, and angle may be hiding the scar, in a jump cut to the present with Blitz in an identical position, you can see the white scar in his face creeping all the way down and around his neck into the shot, seeming like it was meant to purposely inform us that Blitz did not have a scar while working at Lulu. After this, he would seemingly go on to date Veronica and be her bodyguard, where we would see he has the scar in some photos. So when did he get it? How? If Blitz was Veronica's bodyguard, it's possible he got the scar from her, just something he gained as part of the job protecting her. It could even have been what led him to quit and go his own way, but I have a theory that Blitz was never really interested in dating or working for Veronica to begin with, and he seems to have more guilt about how he broke up with her than she does over perhaps being responsible for the scar. Instead, I think he got the scar from RoboFizz himself, which prompted Blitz to quit his career as a performer and decide to go into business for himself due to violence. When Blitz and RoboFizz see each other in episode 2, Blitz is already on guard with his gun anytime RoboFizz gets close. After Stolas leaves, Blitz stays come back to argue with RoboFizz, and they escalate to a fight pretty quickly. Although it is somewhat comedic, I also imagine that they had been in a fight. Before, and it's why Blitz had no problem opening fire on RoboFizz, because RoboFizz gave Blitz his scar in the previous fight. Likely motivated by Blitz's jealousy, he would lash out at RoboFizz, wanting to prove he was better than him in some sense, but RoboFizz would end up injuring Blitz instead, giving him the scar. Perhaps foreshadowing this revelation is the fact that in this new fight from episode 2, Blitz manages to light RoboFizz himself on fire, and it burns RoboFizz's face in a way extremely identical to Blitz's scar, on the same side of his face and around the same eye. This would leave Blitz with the scar, a reminder of all the failures of his life as a performer, but perhaps his first invigorating fight that made him decide he should go into business for himself, even if he didn't win. This would lead him to date Verosika and be her bodyguard. I originally believed he got the scar on the job, and it inspired him to work for himself instead of someone important like Verosika. But now I think Blitz had his plan to kill humans on Earth for sinners in the Pride Ring before he even started dating Verosika. We learned in the most recent episode that succubus are often given osmodian crystals that allow them to teleport up to Earth to spread lust among humans, as previously seen in episode 3. I imagine that Blitz knew these things existed all along and was only getting close to Verosika to get the Asmodian crystal for himself. This would allow him to travel up to Earth and start his business. He would start as her bodyguard and, like Pistolas, end up having to seduce her to get what he wants. They revealed that he abandoned her in a motel with Blitz stealing her car and credit cards, leading me to think that he reached his breaking point in the relationship and tried to dash out with her stuff, including the Asmodian crystal. We only learned about the Osmodian crystal because Stola seems to be preparing one for Blitz to use, so we know an imp should be able to use it in addition to a succubus. Unfortunately for Blitz, I imagine he accidentally left it behind on his way out and instead grabbed her whole purse, expecting it to be in there. Throughout his career, he may have been just waiting for her to reveal which of her jewelry items was the Osmodian crystal itself, which is generally disguised as regular jewelry, forcing Blitz to play the long con and date Verosika to get answers. After reaching the breaking point, he would have abandoned her, stolen her car and purse, and hoped that among its items would be the Osmodian crystals. He never found it, forcing him to instead go after the grimoire from Stolas to finally open his business up. Verosika, having not lost her Asmodian crystal, likely never knew that Blitz only dated her to steal it from her, leading Blitz to feel even more guilty about the situation than she expects him to be when confronted with it. It makes me wonder how Stolas might react to finding out that not only was Blitz conning him like he recently acknowledged, but that the exact same con played out on a succubus like Verosika. His relationship with Blitz being equally easily orchestrated and not even unique in how toxic it is. This is just an alternate theory, however, and my previous videos may turn out to be more accurate when we get more details filling in the gaps of the show, or perhaps I'll be wrong entirely. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.
Your name is Dr. Benson. You were the lead physicist on the time travel project called Quantum Leap. You time traveled.
It's performing